Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Shalom, I'm David Mensa, Israeli government spokesman for the National Public Diplomacy Directorate in the Office of the Prime Minister. It's Monday, the 21st of October. We're in the midst of the festival of Sukkot, so Chag Sameach. Please put your questions in the chat, excuse me, together with your outlet. I've got a couple of items to share with you before that. Our war will end when our goals are met. The return of all of our hostages, dismantling of Hamas's governmental and military capabilities, removing the terrorist threat to Israel, and returning the residents of the north safely to their homes. Firstly, here are the latest casualty figures from Israel's north. These are casualty figures from within Israel. A total of 59 people have been killed from Hezbollah fire into Israel. 28 Israeli civilians, a Thai citizen and an Indian national, and 29 of our dear soldiers. We've had 569 wounded, 338 civilians, and 224 soldiers. Now to the tragic news of fallen Israeli soldiers. IDF casualties since the start of this war have unfortunately risen to 749. All these boys I'm about to mention fell in battle against Hezbollah terrorists in southern Lebanon. First Sergeant Yehuda Dror Yahalom was aged 31 and from Hebron. First Sergeant Yaakov Hillel was also 21 and from Jerusalem. First Sergeant Eliashiv Eitan Wida was aged 22 and from Jerusalem. Captain Elad Simantov was 23 years old and from Tzufim. Major Ofek Bachar was 24 years old and from Nes Tziona. Sergeant Major in the reserves Yishai Netanel Greenbaum was aged 38 years old and from Lud. He succumbed to his wounds after being severely wounded on October 9th. Next, these soldiers fell in northern Gaza. Sergeant Elishai Young was just 19 years old and from Dimona. His funeral took place just this morning. First Sergeant Ofil Berkovich was aged 20 and from Modi'in. And finally, Colonel Achsan Daksa was aged 41 years old and from the Druze town of Daliat HaKarmel. He commanded the 401st Division. Both the Prime Minister and the Defense Minister and the entire country expressed their condolences from the bottom of our hearts to the families of our heroes who fell in battle in southern Lebanon and Gaza. They unfortunately join our heroic and brave soldiers who have fallen in this war for Israel's very existence. The Prime Minister and Defense Minister paid tribute to the commander of the 401st Armoured Brigade, the late Colonel Achsan Daksa, who fell yesterday. His funeral will be this afternoon. Achsan was a hero of Israel, said the Prime Minister, a warrior and a commander, a model figure for the everlasting covenant of life with Israel's Druze community. The Prime Minister said he chose to invest all of his energy in the security of Israel and all of our citizens. He sent his condolences to his wife Hoda and his children Amari, Rif and Yasmin. We pray for the recovery of our wounded heroes. From the first day of the terrible massacre of October 7th, the 401st Armoured Brigade fought and stopped the onslaught of the terrorists, putting themselves between the terrorist army onslaught and the people of Israel. From that day until this, our armed forces have not stopped our offensive to eliminate Hamas and bring home our hostages. Under the command of Major General Achsan, the fighters and commanders of the brigade showed creativity, always striving for victory, and above all, bravery. Their mission is the mission of all of us, to eliminate Hamas, to return all of our hostages, and to return our residents to the north and the south safely to their homes in Israel's sovereign territory. This is the will of our heroes. This is our mission. May our fallen and blessed be blessed and remembered in our hearts forever. Next to Hezbollah and the ongoing effort to degrade Hezbollah's terror infrastructure inside Lebanon, Hezbollah's command structure has been eliminated, from the leader of the organization to the commanders of the operational arrays. So far, thousands of terror targets in Lebanon have been hit, including strategic weapons located in the heart of a civilian population inside Lebanon, which were ready to be immediately launched at our population centers here in Israel. In the last hour, I can share with you details that were released of soldiers of the Commando Brigade currently conducted limited, localized, targeted raids based on precise intelligence inside southern Lebanon. Our troops located a storage facility in the area containing dozens of rockets, also grenades, machine guns, military vests and helmets, and other combat equipment belonging to the Hezbollah terrorist organization. The IDF released details also of its targeting of the Al-Qad al-Hassan Association last night, Hezbollah's banking and financial infrastructure system. Overnight, dozens of command centers and sites in which Hezbollah's funds were held were hit. IDF shared details of the $50 million in cash which come every month from Iran via Syria into Lebanon. Israel will not accept the existence of a terrorist military array on our northern borders, intent on harming our citizens, which might initiate another October 7th massacre. For a year now, since October the 8th, 2023, Hezbollah has been attacking Israel without any provocation by incessant firing of rockets, missiles and UAVs in order to cause harm to our citizens, to impose terror and disrupt our daily life. We will defend ourselves. Finally, an update from COGAT and their work coordinating aid into Gaza. Over the last 24 hours, 47 humanitarian aid trucks were transferred into northern Gaza. There were 114 the day before. 41 were from Ashdod port via the Erez crossing, and 6 tankers of fuel for humanitarian purposes via the humanitarian corridor. And yes, 600 trucks worth of aid remain uncollected by the United Nations from the Gazan side of Kerem Shalom. Additionally, COGAT facilitated a UNICEF mission to northern Gaza with vaccines and logistical equipment for the vaccination campaign. 90,716 children were vaccinated yesterday against the polio virus. Altogether, 235,918 children have received the vaccination in southern Gaza. COGAT holds a daily assessment with the World Health Organization and UNICEF to understand the upcoming needs for the continuation of the vaccination campaign inside northern Gaza. 12 bakeries are operational in Gaza, with 4 bakeries in northern Gaza and 8 bakeries in southern Gaza, producing close to 3 million pita loaves every day. Israel will continue facilitating humanitarian aid and responses across Gaza. You can get all the details of Israel's humanitarian efforts on COGAT's website. So that's the end of our briefing today. Questions in the chat, please, together with your outlet, and we'll take them now. First question from Joel Pollack from Breitbart News. Modem L'Simcha. Thank you, Joel. Does the Israeli government support private efforts like those of SodaStream to offer a $100,000 reward for the return of each of our hostages from Gaza? Thank you very much for that question, Joel. The Prime Minister on Thursday night made clear on the confirmation of the elimination of Yahya Sinwar, the dastardly leader of Hamas. He said that our highest priority is the return of our hostages, 101 of them. It is our highest priority. Next question: if hostage negotiations are restarting, with whom? Thank you for that question, Joel. The Prime Minister made an unprecedented offer in that same statement on Thursday evening. He made the offer, and the Hamas terrorists would do well to take this offer. The offer he made was that our hostages should be released without harm. And if they are released without any further harm, the Prime Minister made an unprecedented offer with his own mouth. He said that the terrorists, the Hamas people, will be allowed to leave with their lives. They'll be allowed to leave with their lives. That is the offer the Prime Minister made. Again, Hamas would do well to release our hostages and to be able to escape with their lives, to provide a better future for Gazans and, of course, for Israel. Let me make this clear. There is no future leadership in Gaza with Hamas at the helm. There is no way on earth that Hamas will be allowed to run any part of Gaza in the future. Next question. Is Israel concerned about intelligence leaks about potential Iran attack plans? Thank you for that question, Joel. Got nothing to add on that one. Fourth question. Does the IDF intend to retain a permanent presence on the Lebanese side of the border until a guarantee can be reached that Hezbollah will not return? Thank you for that question, Joel. We've made our mission crystal clear when it comes to the north of Israel, southern Lebanon. We've said very, very clearly that our mission is to get our people back home. It's as simple as that. We're operating to remove the threat to our people in our north. We will not accept the existence of a terrorist military force on our northern border. We know what their intent is. Their intent is to kill our people. Hezbollah planned another October 7th massacre. The reason people were killed on October 7th was because they were Israelis and because they were Jews. Now, the Hezbollah fire upon us, and their plan, called Conquer the Galilee, had the same objective, except they are better armed, better organized, and wanted to kill even more Israelis. The Hezbollah fire on us because we are Jewish people living in our own homeland. They don't discriminate, of course. They want to kill anyone that's here. As the Prime Minister has said, no one should be a refugee in their own country. Our people will go back home, back to the north, back to their kibbutzim, back to their farms, back to their villages and towns. Whatever it takes, our people will go back to their homes. For more than a year now, since October the 8th, Hezbollah terrorist army has been attacking Israel without any provocation whatsoever, simply because we exist. This incessant firing of rockets, of missiles and of drones, it's designed to cause harm to our people, to impose terror and disrupt our daily life. And the Prime Minister has made crystal clear we are prepared for both defense and offense. Hezbollah's command structure is being dismantled, eliminated. Nasrallah is eliminated. Their command structure has been eliminated. Thousands of terror targets in Lebanon have been eliminated. Their strategic locations eliminated. Their tunnels located. Even when they are placed in the heart of communities inside Lebanon. The Prime Minister has made very, very clear our objective in the north is to see 1559 implemented. Resolution 1701, UN's Security Council Resolution 1701, that calls very, very clearly for there to be no Hezbollah between our northern border, southern Lebanon, and the Litani River. They should not be there. That is what our objective is, to get our people home. Next question from David Clement from the News Forum. Can you provide comment or context as to the purpose on the strikes of the Al-Qad, Al-Hassan branches? Yes, thank you for that question, David Clement from the News Forum in Canada. The IDF yesterday gave a fairly comprehensive briefing on the organization of the Al-Qad, Al-Hassan branches, the association. The IDF made absolutely clear that this association is used to bankroll Hezbollah. The IDF have released details of the $50 million in cash, which comes from Iran every month, at least every month. We are aiming to disrupt that flow of money, which allows the Hezbollah leadership to replenish its arms, to replenish its supplies, to pay its terrorist fighters. We know from the terrorists which we have captured that morale is sinking, it is dissipating. We know that many of these Hezbollah terrorists fight for the money. So we're disrupting their financial infrastructure. And absolutely key, right at the center of this effort, was the Al-Qad Al-Hassan Association. It was their banking system, which is precisely why we targeted them last night. They're also on the US sanctions list as well. But for more information, I recommend that you contact the IDF, who have given a fairly comprehensive briefing on, including Daniel Hagari last night, on this terror network banking infrastructure, which we sought to disrupt last night with some extensive bombing of those branches. At the same time, we advised civilians to get out of harm's way, because again, our battle is directly with the Hezbollah terrorists and not with civilians. Next question from Dina Kraft from the Christian Science Monitor. What are the war aims of the government at this point in Gaza now that Sinwar has been killed and Hamas is in disarray? Is a ceasefire a priority? Thank you for that question, Dina. The Prime Minister has made crystal clear what our war aims are. Our highest priority now in Gaza is to get our hostages home, 101 of them. The Prime Minister made an unprecedented offer. He said that to Hamas terrorists, let our people go now, unharmed, and any further harm that there's been done to them, both the living and the dead, and you will be able to escape with your lives. We've made that crystal clear. The war aim of not allowing Hamas to be in any positions of authority for the future of Gaza is very real. We will not allow Hamas to be, as the Prime Minister has made clear, in any position of authority running Gaza. It simply will not happen. The objective of Hamas, as they have shown, as they have said with their own mouths, is to destroy Israel. Any gap, any breather that we give them will simply be used to mount another attack on this country. Whether in tomorrow or whether in 18 months' time or in 2 years' time, we simply will not allow Gaza to be a launching pad for further terrorism against this country. And of course, our other war aims, as we've made clear in this briefing, are to return our hostages, to ensure that Hamas is destroyed both militarily and its governing infrastructure, to make sure that Gaza can never be a threat to Israel again, and of course to get our people back home in the north of our country. 65,000 of our people who've been displaced by Hezbollah rocket fire. Dina, this is what any country would do. Just imagine this level of rockets and terrorism to any other country. No other country would allow it. We are defending ourselves. We wish for a better future for all of the people in this region. But the step one to that, the Prime Minister called it the first day towards the end of our conflict with Gaza and with Hamas in particular, is the elimination of Sinwar. This provides a much brighter future, but our hostages need to be brought home right now. The Prime Minister called it his highest priority. And you've also asked the government strategy at this point. Thank you. I think I've answered that point. Great. So that's the last question. The next briefing will be tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for joining us, and please do stay safe. Goodbye. Thank you. Bye-bye.